Can I start?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so I got very confused going through the review on how to graph the functions of x. I guess it's functions, the f of x and the g of x stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got very confused on how to graph that.
Okay, so now if you're just trying to, if you just want to graph them, I would just, go here, hit graphing calculator in Google. This Desmos one's most of the time a great calculator. Do you have a function that you want to see graphed?
I don't have one personally.
Okay. Let's do this. So here, just if I had x plus 3, oh, I want to do divide, parentheses x minus 2. You know, it'll graph it just like that. So as far as graphing, I'm not really asking you guys to do it by hand or anything like that. All you need is a graphing tool, graphing utility that you're comfortable with using. And because all they do is they show you a couple of graphs and then you have to pick the right one, correct?
On some of them, yes, and then on some of them, we had to graph it on their graphing tool that they gave us.
Okay. All right. Let me go to, nope, don't want to do that. Let's go here in my app player. And you said this was in the review?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Where'd it go? There you go. You remember what numbers they were that you're talking about?
Find it. I have mine open.
Okay. Okay, I see one. Use transformation graph to determine graph given. What is trying to share my screen? There you go. Is this one right here? X squared, x plus 6 squared?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see what they actually need to graph it. So this is going to pick parabola. All right, cancel. I think you need to graph the see if I go 0, 6.
Wouldn't that be so whenever when it's in the parentheses, isn't that like the opposite of the sign? Because when I think positive, I would go to the right. But
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I'm trying to see why it won't let me click. I'm trying to graph the actual vertex. Yeah, for some reason this wasn't letting me, so I'm clicking up here.
I have the one I was actually looking at. I found it. If you want to look at that one.
Okay, yeah. Just trying to make sure I can do it. Just trying to see, because see, I'm clicking on this and it keeps doing that. And I'm trying to figure out why is it. Okay, I understand that. But why is it not letting me clear it one more time? Clicking the parabola.
Oh, is it because this one is for transformations?
Yeah, but it says use the graphing tool to graph the function.
Oh,
So
okay.
I should be able to graph this one. And I'm not understanding why it won't let me. Because normally when you graph a parabola, they let you graph the vertex first. Then from the vertex, they ask for another point. And then that would be, you know, the graph. They would like, from right after they're graphing those 2 points, it would just generate a parabola. But for some reason, this one is not letting me graph the parabola, not the parabola, the vertex. It's just automatically just putting it there in the middle. Unless, let me see. No, that's not it. Okay. Because they use transformations of a graph to graph determine. Yeah, because it should be shifting to the right 6, no, to the left 6. Yeah, but it won't let me do it. Can I just shift it or move it? Oh, let's do this. Oh, okay. I guess they were not going to let me do it that way. Okay. All right. So did you see what I did? The horizontal shift down here.
Yes.
At first it was 0. So evidently this type, they won't let me do it the other way unless they just remove that other way in the update and I'm just behind. But if I knew there's a horizontal shift, like you were saying, you would do the opposite. I would just do -6 down here for a horizontal shift and that shifts it up. Then if I want to do a vertical shift, let's say go up 5, +5, that'll take it up 5.
Okay.
All right. Alrighty, so let's see. So that will be, okay, so that's the same thing. All right. So is that okay with the graphing? Because that's basically what you were asking for, right? Or was there something else as far as graphing?
That was like part of what I was confused on.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go to number 2?
Mm-hmm.
This is the other part that I was confused on.
Okay. Graph the given functions f and g on the same rectangular system. Okay. So let's, oh, wait, that's fine. So the first one, well, both of them are parabolas. Okay. Now this one, you see how it has the little points right there?
Mm-hmm.
Now this one should be like what I was talking about. All right, so let's see. So x squared, I messed it up. Can't, let me go back. So I'm gonna graph that first one, which is -x squared. And I slid over too much. So you gotta look at these points up here. See how I said 615? Whatever you want your vertex to be. So now this is 0, 0. And then you need at least one more point. So let's go -1, -1 squared, -1, -1. Okay, so they want 3 points. So what I did was, let me go back to my notes. All right, so the first one is -x squared. So I found my vertex first. Well, yeah, found the vertex first. And from the vertex is, what are we talking about? F of x, a x squared. Okay. What's the other one? So remember when it's in this format, you can pick out H and K for your vertex. So now in this situation, it was 0, 0, because you notice there's nothing over here as far as K is concerned, or inside of the square, is anything being in there. So that's why the vertex was 0, 0.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I look at it, well, we'll get to the next one. So then from there, I need 2 more points. That's what it asked for. And so if that's the case, all I did was I plugged in -1. That ended up being -1. And I plugged in +1. And that ended up being -1. So my ordered pair here is going to be -1, -1. Ordered pair here is going to be +1, -1.
Okay.
So graphing those 3 points, the vertex and 2 random points, those points, I just chose those. Those could have been any points. You just have to make sure that they're actually on the grid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I got this right here. So that's how I got that. All right. So now to graph the next one, we have -x² + 5. I didn't mean to do that. So the next one is -x² + 5. Now you could lean on your transformations, or you could lean on what I just mentioned here. So my vertex H is going to be 0, and then K is 5. So then I could actually plug in those same values, plug in +1. It's going to be -1 + 5, which is 4. So the order pair is 1, 4. And then plugging in -1. Hold on. This one was positive. This one's negative down here. Sorry about that. So that'd be -1 + 5, which is still going to be 1, 1, 4. -1. -1, 4. So that's what we have here. 1, 4 and -1, 4 if you plug them in and simplify. So those are the 3 values that I'll be looking to graph for this second one.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay. And I'm just going to go up there and graph the second one just to make sure that that is exactly what they want before we go to another one. Did I share the screen? Make sure I share it. Yeah, I did. So it says 0, 5. Yep, and I went to 5, 0. Nice. 0, 5, and then I'm going to go 1, 4.
So we always start by doing the vertex first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I didn't try not doing it, but I just know that's the easiest way that I've done it. Probably wouldn't hurt to try it, because looking at the way, let's make sure this is right, and then I'll try it the other way. Yeah, so that ended up being right. Now I wouldn't do it without using the vertex at all. In other words, I wouldn't just choose 3 random values. I would go ahead and choose the vertex. So let's see. All right, so let's go back. So we already know that's 0, 0. How about we try? Okay, so it didn't matter what order we did them in as far as graphing it. But I still believe you have to have that vertex. So let's look at this. Let's go here. Oh. Okay, let's do it like this. Let's clear it and go. And then you're talking about 2. Okay, it still might work out if you get the right numbers. They just need 3 points. So you might not need the vertex. If you just choose 3 random points and make sure they're correct, and make sure that when you graph that you are, looking at these coordinates up here. See how it moves everywhere that I want it to go, and make sure you line up your points according to that. You should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what else you got?
How do you find the range again?
The range, you would just subtract the smallest value from the largest value.
So does that work the same if you're getting the range from, like, let's say a graph?
So, you know what? I was in statistics. Sorry, you're talking about domain and range. All right, so what problem are your range would be your y values. Your range
Oh,
would be your
okay.
y value. Yeah, your domain are your x values. Your range is your y values. So, in other words, the domain are the values you plug in. The range would be the values that you get out. So if I were to go back to that parabola, I can just keep it simple. And let's say the point, my origin is at 0, 0, 0.
Mm-hmm.
So my domain is going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. Reason being is because I can plug in any x value I want. This will continue to get wider and wider the more I go up. My domain would be negative infinity to infinity, but my range would be from 0 up. So it'd be 0 to infinity.
Okay.
Yeah. If I had one like this, I'm going to make this my vertex. Let's see if it's 0, 2. My domain for the parabola is still going to be negative infinity to infinity. My range, though, this time is going to come from, you always do your smallest value first, negative infinity up to 2. Because the highest value for my vertex, my highest value is always my vertex, or is my lowest value. And in this case, it's the highest value. And my y is 2. And like I said, these all this is going to negative infinity down here.
So because the parabola is pointing down, we'd start at negative infinity. I would think it would be 2 to infinity, but wouldn't that be if the parabola was facing up?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. If it was going this way, it would be 2 to infinity.
Okay.
All right. What else we got? And if anybody else have any questions, feel free to ask.
The relative I think it's called maximum and minimums.
Mm-hmm.
Those things. I don't get those at all.
All right, so your relative max is going to be the highest value in a certain interval. So how do they pose the question, or what question are you looking at?
Let me pull it up right quick.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. Sorry, I clicked the wrong number.
That's fine.
If anybody else has questions, we can go to them until I find it.
Yeah, it's good. No one seemed to have any other ones, so it's all good. Let me see. That's coming out of section 2.4 or 5. No, it got to be 4 or 3. I think it's 3, 2.3.
Oh, it's number 7 on our review, and it says, okay, so they have the little squiggly graph like you have, and then it says, it just asks the function of f has a relative maximum at where, and then it gives us the, like, it says f of x equals 2x to the third minus 3x squared minus 36x plus 8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to start it.
All right, so read me yours again.
F of x equals 2x third to the third minus 3x squared minus 36x plus 8.
All right.
It also has some numbers underneath it. Looks like they might be points, but I'm not sure.
All right. Let me see. Are they like in brackets?
Yes.
Give them to me.
The first one is bracket negative 5, 5, and 1, and then bracket, and then it says by negative 9, comma 9. I mean, not negative 9, negative 90, comma 90, comma 10.
All right. So what that means, that's the scale
Okay.
in which, in other words, this is X, this is Y, as far as the tick marks. So this is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my Y is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But they're going by tens.
Okay.
So in other words, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. While on here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over here is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm sorry, are you writing?
Oh, you know what? Yes, I am. I forgot I didn't share the screen. All right. So let's go back.
Okay.
So X, and it says it's doing it by 1. Excuse me. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the X scale by ones. Your Y is going 10, 20, not 1,
Oh, okay.
30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And so it's going to be 9 tick marks because it's going by tens.
Got it.
And so that's the scale. It's going to 5 on the X, going up to 90 on the Y. And so that's how it's just, so like if you were doing it, if you wanted to get that vision of what they put in my math lab, you would have to use that scale.
Okay.
All right. So let's go back. Let's see if the graphing calculator I was using can do that for us. I don't know if this is enough. Do you have a graphing tool at your disposal, like a graphing calculator?
I don't have the calculator, but I have Desmos on my computer.
Okay. So let's see if we can change, because I haven't played with this one that much. I know we can put the function in. Okay. So you see how it looks crazy as far as what we have in comparison to what my math lab has. So let's see if we can change the scale. Nope. Oh man. Let's go undo. Okay, done. Yep, that's not what I wanted to do. Nice. And so
Are we trying to change this to the like 1 through 5 and then the 10 through 90?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Up here it goes right here. So let's go to -5. 5, and we step by 1. And then here it goes to 90. +90, and we step by 10.
Okay.
All right, so that should do it for us. Now let me put that back in. 2x. Yes. No, that was 3x. All right, so 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 30x, 6x plus 8. And we're going -5 to 5, 90 to 90. All right, so if you're talking about relative max and relative min, right here would be our relative max because it's the highest point within this interval that we have from -5 to 5.
Yeah.
So we're talking about -252.
Okay.
And then our relative minimum is right down here at 3, -73.
So we would write it like an interval like that?
Let me see how they want the answer. All right, so mine's different, but I'm just gonna throw an answer in there. I think you just want that y value. So -1. Relative maximum at -1. And the relative -1, 2. And okay, so they give you 2 boxes. And so the first box should be the X, and then the second box would be your Y as far as that one sentence for your maximum. And then for your minimum, you would do the same thing. This would be 3. Oh, it was negative. Yep. So that's how you would do it. All right. Because yours has 2 boxes, right? For the maximum, then 2 boxes for the minimum
Yes.
in that sentence. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anybody else?
I can always go again.
If you got it, let's go.
Okay. Let me find the question. It's the ones, I know it was towards the end of the review. It's where it has like F and then a open circle and then some had a closed circle and then G of
Okay.
X. I do not understand that.
All right. Let's see if we can find it.
I know it was towards the end.
Okay.
Question 32.
Oh, I'm right there. This one.
Yeah, those.
Okay. So all right, so they want us to first find, and we used to call it fog of X. So that means you want to take that second function, g of X, and plug it into the first function, f of X. So we're going to take X plus 3, plug it in wherever you see X.
Oh.
So this is just going to be the square root of X plus 3.
Is there any way you can solve that?
Nope, nope. In this case, there's nothing to solve.
Okay.
It's just a rewriting, or it's called the composition of functions. All right. So then if they ask for graph of X, and you're going to do the same thing, it's just time you take an F and plugging it into G.
Okay.
And that means you're going the other way with it. You're taking this function and plugging it in where you see X. So this one would just be square root of X plus 3.
Oh, okay. I made that way more difficult than it was.
And then the next two, they actually put numbers in there. Ooh. Which just doesn't change what you do. It's just that now you would fully calculate. I guess that's where you would come into actually solving. They did fog of 6. And since we already did fog of X right here, we can just take that, translate that here, and just put a 6 right there. That'll be square root of 9, which would be 3. And that last one is golf of 6. Once again, it's that same thing right here. So really all we would do is put 6 in right there. And really there's nothing else you can do with that other than turn it to a decimal. And I don't believe they want a decimal. I don't see them saying anything about a decimal. So let's look at that.
Okay, that makes more sense. So this one, I just probably need an explanation for. I understand how to, okay, let me back up. When we're getting domain that has the union symbol in between the two yeah, that thing. I know how to get the numbers, but I don't understand when to use the union symbol.
Okay. So do you have one in particular that you want me to look at, or? So let me do this. Let's see if this is good enough for you. Let's say if I do 5 on top. All right, so whenever we have something like this, we're looking at the domain. Let's say if I already factored this, normally they will give you the trinomial, then you have to factor it. And so setting both parts equal to 0, because remember, we cannot have a 0 in our denominator if we have a fraction or a rational expression. So I want to know, when is the denominator equal to 0? So I set both pieces equal to 0, solve for x, and I get -3 here and a +7 here. So these are the values I cannot use, because when I use those, that's when I get 0 in my denominator. All right, plugging in the 7 right here, I get 0. Or if I plug in -3 right here, I get 0. So that's why I cannot use those two values. So when I look at my number line, I have -3 right here and a +7 right here. I can use everything else. So I can go from -infinity to -3. I can use -3 to 7. And I also can use 7 to +infinity. So I need to represent all 3 of those intervals in my answer when I go to write my domain.
Okay.
So the way you're supposed to do that as far as interval notation is concerned, you go from -infinity to -3, union. In other words, that's or. That's a mathematical symbol for or.
Okay.
Then -3, 7, and then 7 to infinity. So whenever your solution set or your domain or whatever list you're dealing with have more than one set of intervals, that's when you would use the or symbol.
And we would not use brackets for the -3 to 7 because they're not included?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. If I could use -3 or the 7, then I would put a bracket on whichever one I could use. But because I cannot use either one, but I want to represent that I can get as close to -3 and as close to 7 as possible. That's what the parentheses represent. You can get as close to -3 or close to 7 as possible. Just cannot use -3 or 7.
Okay, that makes more sense. I have 2 more.
Okay.
And then I'm finished.
Not a problem.
How do we find, actually, let me find the problem before I ask my question.
Not a problem. That's cool.
Let's see. No, it's this one.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So on number 9, I got all the right answers, but I don't understand how I got them right, because when it's the like h of x equals, and then it has 2, I don't know how to explain it. It's the one that's like if it says there's a equation and then it says if x doesn't equal 6. Yeah, that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I understand how we would plug the 3 in for the x on the first one,
Right.
but then when I would get my answer, if it was equal to 5, I would put in 7 because that's what I thought it was saying, but then it kept counting it wrong. So could you just go through one of them so I could understand?
Okay. Now, do you want me to do the one that you have specifically so we can see what that answer is, or you want me to do the one that you're looking at right now on the screen?
We can do the one on the screen.
Okay. All right. Let me take a quick pic so I can not have to keep flipping back. All right. So we have x squared minus 25 over x minus 5. And we have 7.
7.
All right. So h equal to 3. Really, you can just plug it in.
Okay.
That should be 8. Don't get my... All right, next one is 0. You can do the same. And that should be 5. All right, now the next one. So keep in mind that we cannot use 5 here because when I put 5 in my denominator, I'll get 0. So they're saying if you do have 5, the answer is just 7. So no calculation. The result is just 7. So really, h of 5 is equal to 7.
Okay.
And yep, that's all there is to it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and my last one was if you need to look at the review, it's number 5, but it's finding missing function values.
Mm-hmm.
I remember slightly how to do it, but I think I'm going wrong somewhere because I'm not getting the right answer.
Gotcha. So let's see, use the graph to determine the functional domain range. Missing values indicated. Okay, so f of -2. So if I were to maximize this. So basically when x is -2, what is y? And so that's what we're doing here. So I'll go to the left 2, and so I'm looking at 1, 2, 3. So that should be 3 for f of -2. Because x is, I can write up here, you can't see that. But when you go to the left 2 and then go up to where you meet the graph, it's at 2, 3, -2, 3. And then for f equal, when x is equal to +2, you do the same thing, go to the right 2 and then go up, and that'll be at 3 as well. So let's see, domain is going to be -infinity to infinity. Okay, range is from -1 to infinity. Should be using bracket. Where my bracket at? There we go. All right, we just said you were cool with those. X-intercepts, that's where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So we're looking at -1, +1. Let's see how they want this answer. Okay, so that was good enough. Y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So that's down here at +1. Let's see, they want it as 1. Yep, they want it 0. So they want the x value. What? Hold on. Oh, I put in negative. I put in positive 1. That's why it should be negative 1. What, 7? There we go. It was negative 1. All right. And then f of negative 2, like I said, that should be positive 3. And then f of positive 2 should be positive 3 as well. All right, so was that okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else? Everybody good? So, most of our time is gone. That's not a big deal. Glad the questions were asked. Don't forget, whenever you do your test, you should send me your scratch work, a picture of your scratch work, either, picture by phone or, scan it, whatever way you want to send your scratch work, make sure you do so. This was recorded, so if any of these notes helped or maneuvers helped, even as I fumbled through a few of them, then I'll send that to you guys as well. Yeah, so I posted chapter 2's test should be posted. And I still need to see, I couldn't see a spot where midterm date was. I couldn't find the calendar. Guess I'll find that shortly. But remember, we know chapter 1 and chapter 2's work, homework and the test will be due midterm week. So we're not going to do a midterm, but we will have a final exam. But all of your work from chapter 1, chapter 2 should be finished by midterm week. That's how I will determine your midterm grade. And then from there, we'll move forward. Next class, we'll jump into chapter 3 and get that started and go from there. Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not about the homework or anything like that, but so do you know what our grades are right now, like from the first test?
I can see them. I haven't looked at them yet because I haven't done any real assessment on you guys and where you stand. If you want to know where I think you stand, you can shoot me an email and I can let you know what I see.
Okay, because I was looking at the Moodle and it didn't have any assignments in there, so I was just wondering if like you keep it or how you do your grading stuff.
Oh, well, everything is in my math lab. I just didn't I didn't want to make things clunky and have you guys going to different, websites and different I can't even think of the word I want to use, but different spots to try to find grades. So all of your grades are in my math lab. So you're doing your homeworks and your tests. Those are the only ways that I'm assessing you guys. So all of your grades are in my math lab. So you don't have to go to Moodle at all. Now, if you want to see your when they tell me to put in your midterm grade or progress report or your final grades, then you will go to Moodle or however way they disseminate that to you guys. But as far as how you're doing in the course at this moment, you would just look at your my math lab grades.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right. Anything else? Anybody else before we close today? Everybody good? All right. Okay. So you guys have a great day. Have a great night. And I will see you on Wednesday.
Have a good one.
Thanks. You do the same.
Thank you.